going on for so long. They preemptively cast an ability, and because the spell shield was so long, it just absorbs the ability anyways, even though it was like 2 seconds after the trade or whatever. So again, this is just because it took no skill and was kind of stupid, so they're just nerfing that. This sort of warranted, this ability should never have been like this in the first place. This with like no scaling on an ability, that just makes it like super strong. Again, same thing as her passive. It had no scaling before, so it was already like a really, really strong ability. And that's not the kind of strength you need for early game, because that could easily help you snowball out of control and things like that. So this is more of just like let's just make her scale properly, but still keep the generality of her strength unchanged. That's fine. This, again, like, most of the time you're using it for a quick engage or disengage, so, a 2-second difference is not going to make that much of a deal. Like, it is significant, but, using it for 10 seconds or for 8 seconds is relatively the same. Again, this is also a nerf, obviously, but only slightly. Not going to make that much of a difference, but it does put her late game to a little bit less of a strength. Yeah, like, early game unchanged, but she's just not going to have it up all the time. Again, like, this can be played, the skilled server players will just play around this. Like, you just don't have to, fight until this is up. It's fine, 20 seconds. But it's just like a bit of a nerf. If anything, this is probably the biggest part of her ult that got nerfed. But again, you would never need this anyways, so nerfing it, obviously the nerf seems significant, but like if the ability was that strong in the first place, like the nerf is warranted, so this is fine. It's like, it just matches along with it, whatever. Like, okay, this is a pretty big deal. Like, this makes a pretty big difference, and this is sort of cool. So they're buffing Soraka quite a lot, and this makes a lot of sense, and this is also really, really good for her. It's going to be a pretty big buff, so that's really good. This was just kind of like necessary, just because, dear lord, Taric was so strong. He was just like, he is just like ridiculously stupid, because he could 1v1 the AD carry and like pretty much still kill the AD carry with like a few items. Him having a few items, that was kind of stupid. What was even worse than that was that you could even see Taric's like 2v1ing the enemy bot lane, and he would still be able to just destroy them. And when a support is that strong, there is something wrong. So all these nerfs, like, you read through them, all these nerfs are just warranted to just overall decrease his strength, because a support should not be able to just 2v1 the enemy bot lane and destroy them in a 2v1. That's just not supposed to happen. So all warranted. That's fine. Hopefully this puts him at a stage where he can no longer 2v1 and can barely 1v1. Because if your support can 1v1 the enemy AD carry, what makes you want to use any other support but Taric? Right? Like, if you're like, Soraka is going to get crushed by Vayne. Taric will not get crushed by Vayne. But Soraka and like Jenna, they'll just get destroyed by Vayne. They can't 1v1 Vayne, they can't fight her like that. Whereas Taric can destroy Vayne like that. So what other support would you use? So I'm hoping the nerfs get to a point where he can keep up at the slightest. Like, I don't want him to end up like a squishy support, like the more supporty ones, I guess you could say. But I want him to be able to, like, at most, if anything, go toe-to-toe with the AD carry for the beginning of the fight, but not be able to, like, destroy an AD carry. Like, he's going to need his team to follow up. So I'm hoping the nerfs will get to that point, that, like, weaken him to the point that he's not the most dominant and strongest support there is. Just going over the rest of this, like, I mean, this is just, like, a texture update, this. Okay, Caitlyn's running animation was really awkward before, so I'm actually kind of glad for this for some reason. I'm really happy to see this. The rest of these were just, like, minor changes. Like, they're all just, like, quality of life changes and stuff like that. This just... Oh, Fiora, okay, like, whatever. This was kind of cool. This no longer deals reduced damage to monsters, which I don't... Like, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, they're trying to make jungle Garen viable. No, it's not trying to make jungle Garen viable. It's just so that when you go and do a camp, if you're losing lane, the monsters don't kill you. Like, you don't suddenly be like, whoa, I do so much damage to the enemy champion and whatever, but how come, I do so little damage to these jungle monsters? It's so hard for me to kill them as Garen. Unless, like, you're not going to auto-attack them to death, so you have to use, your judgment. And so this is just cool to, like, make you not suddenly feel super weak once you walk into the jungle. Most of these are just this is actually cool. So he has like sort of like a buff counter. So it's sort of like Nasus Withering Strike. This is going to be a counter to show you how much damage is building up. Lets you make a little bit more decisive plays in terms of actual calculations, and lets you choose when to detonate it and stuff like that. So these are, again, just quality of life changes. These are really nice. This is whatever. This is a small fix. This is actually what I want to talk about. This is actually really, really big, because Pantheon now being able to use his stun on minions and jungle monsters is going to create a lot of different play opportunities for Pantheon. When he's running away, he can, use enemy minions to dash to, in order to gain some distance, or at the same time, you could drop a ward over a wall and then use your stun to jump over the wall and then hit a minion or a jungle monster on the other side. This is going to just create a lot of new plays and opportunities for Pantheon, and this is going to be really cool. Like, I think this is really, really interesting. It just gives him so many more opportunities and things like that. Okay, this is like whatever. Like, again, these are all just small changes, but the only real big ones were the Pantheon one, the Garen one, and I guess these two were kind of like whatever. Items, basically they're changing this because they're like, okay, clearly the Bounty Hunter passive was like one of the weirdest, like dumbest passives ever. They're just changing it all to Conservation for the fact that Conservation was guaranteed gold. Bounty Hunter was risky gold that was not always guaranteed. And at the same time, even if it was guaranteed, the gold that you were getting from it was not gonna make up to the Conservation passive. So almost everyone went Spirit of the Ancient Golem because, well, I know, okay, a lot of people go to this item, but what I'm saying in terms of the gold that you actually get from it, this gold passive from Spirit of the Ancient Golem was just far too good, because it was like guaranteed gold from you just doing your job of jungling. Whereas this, it was like, I can see where they thought it was a good idea, but then they realized, okay, this is like it's too inconsistent to actually keep. So this is too inconsistent and risky, so they just removed it in place of the Conservation. Like, that's whatever. Trinkets, these are just like basic changes. Like, they're not really anything special. Like, obviously, like when you look at it, yeah, it's a very significant buff to like a lot of the trinkets. But again, this is just them still playing the preseason to try to just overall fix changes and like try to find that sweet spot for all the things to come for season 4. So this is just them sort of just working on it. So it's good to keep yourself up to date with these actual values and these updates. But like, again, this is going to be happening a lot for them to try to find that right spot for these new introduced items into the game. You shouldn't expect like these to be final. You shouldn't expect them to like have perfected items the second they get released. Small changes. This is the big change. Super minions, like damage boost to nearby minions increased to 70%, and armor resistance boost to nearby minions increased to 70. This is actually like, I don't know. They might have gone overboard with this, but I don't know yet. This is just like a crazy change, just because like once you take down an inhibitor, it's like I'm sure everyone knows how fast your super minion waves push when you take down an inhibitor. Like, it does a lot of work on its own. You can just leave it. If it was doing that much work already, imagine this buff added onto it. It's gonna just plow down waves like so quickly, and this might have been a little bit of a bad choice. Like, yeah, this might have been a little bit of a bad choice. When you think about it, if this damage boost is almost double this value, so you're almost adding like an entire new minion wave onto it. It's like having a bonus minion wave to push. It's just gonna be a little bit annoying to deal with, a little bit overwhelming, and I think they might go back on this change, but I'm not sure. Like, again, it really comes down to you have to actually try it in game to see what it's like before speaking, because just from numbers it can look really bad, but we'll see. But this looks really bad, because it's gonna make minions way stronger, and super minion waves are gonna be really overwhelming. Like, I can see this ending up to a point where you have one inhibitor down, but you have 2 of your teammates trying to push these waves back, and they're getting nowhere. I'm sure you've seen like a lot of times, even with champions with good wave clear, pushing against like super minion waves, they almost like they just inch forward every like couple waves. Like, they don't even push that far back, which again is the point of super minion waves. But I can see like 2 people pushing a super minion wave, and they're just gonna like those 2 people are still gonna get nowhere anyways, which is gonna kind of suck. But that's that. And then there's this highlight of the patch right here. this is just hilarious. But anyways, these two are like, I mean, these are slight nerfs, but I don't think it's gonna really make a difference. So like, I guess they just felt like it needed to be nerfed. I don't know how they warranted that, but it's really not gonna make that much of a change. It's not that big of a deal. This is actually quite a significant nerf on Perseverance. I guess they realized how strong the mastery was when they left it at these values, so they decided to nerf it a little bit. I would say warranted, yeah, but I would definitely say that it's still at max rank. It's gonna be almost just as strong for champions who actually, like, okay, it's warranted, but I'm gonna say it's only gonna make a bit of a slight difference. I think these are the values they're gonna stick with. I think these are very fair and balanced values as opposed to how strong these were. And okay, this one was a bit confusing, but basically I think what they're doing is, because when you use this word formally, like formally could mean anything. It could mean in the past month or it could mean in the past year. So let's go over what this actually means. Currently in the 3.14 patch, in the preseason 4 patch, Tenacious is the mastery that you get bonus MR and you get bonus, like here, I'll look it up. It's the one where you get bonus, unless they change that on the wiki pages, which I hope they didn't, because that would look really stupid. Right, so currently the Tenacious Mastery is this one right here. It grants bonus armor and bonus magic resist for each nearby champion. This is what, because the patch is actually not live yet, so it's still on these, and this is currently what Tenacious actually is. In Season 3, so this is why it gets confusing, because in Season 3, Tenacious was something else. Tenacious was the one that gave you 15% tenacity. And then for some reason, they decided to change these names. I don't understand why the hell this was even warranted in the first place. And it's really confusing, so I guess they're going back on that now. But Season 3, Tenacious was 15% tenacity. Season 4, Tenacious is bonus MR and magic, bonus armor and magic resist for each nearby champion. In this patch, they're re-changing Tenacious so that Legendary Guardian, this will now be the new Legendary Guardian. Legendary Guardian will be bonus armor and bonus magic resist for each nearby champion. And they're going to make it so that the range to gain the bonus armor and magic resist is reduced to 700. And I'm guessing they're going to make like it said, there's a bug where the names got swapped, but I'm guessing they're permanently swapping it so that the Tenacious Mastery will be this last one. So Tenacious grants you that 15% tenacity, and Legendary Guardian grants you the bonus MR and magic resist. So yeah, so they're just switching the names. Like, that's just gonna be less annoying to deal with. And in terms of the range nerf, I don't know, like, I see what they're trying to do here. They're trying to say that, you know, you have to be in the fray fighting to make sure you get those bonuses. 700 range, just for reference, is Abyssal Scepter. It's pretty short range, and they're basically saying that they want to nerf it so that it's lower range, so that if you're just, like, they're making it so that if you just walk around, or if you're having a 1v1, or if you're, like, you're just taking free poke, that you don't get that bonus MR and magic resist from 900 range to reduce that poke damage. That's what they're trying to do. But at the same time, why this is bad is because, let's say you're a Diana player and you dash into the enemy team, but they're not all gathered. Like, they're literally all, like, around you, but they're not all gathered within your Abyssal Scepter range. You immediately might lose a couple champions worth of armor and magic resist. Like, they might be able to attack you from 900 range, but you're not getting that bonus. And I think this is just, like, I don't know, this is a really hard mastery to balance, because I see what they're doing. They're trying to make sure that you don't take, like, free poke damage. You don't get free resistances when just, you know, playing the poke game, and that's fine. But now they've really hurt people like tanks who engage. Like, they've really hurt, like, Jarvan, Diana, people who dive in and have to get into the fray, and that really hurts those champions for this nerf. So, I mean, again, like, I don't like this. Maybe this will get changed again in the future, and I don't blame them for not being able to handle this right away. Like, this is just a really hard thing to balance. Hopefully, they find something to deal with it. I don't know. And new icons. So, yeah, whatever. anyways, I think that's about it. So, that's more or less the most important things in the patch 3.15 notes. Yeah, I guess that's it. That's pretty much the important things and all you need to know. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully this video helps you understand some of the things a little bit better and as to why things are warranted or why they're not. But you know, yeah, okay, I'm just gonna end this video like very abruptly because I have nothing else to say.